Sebelumnya saya perkenalkan diri terlebih dulu. Nama saya sendiri Agung Prakoso selaku koordinator Vaksin Access and Global Health Working Groups. Saya di sini bersama Lance Espasio. Dia adalah member dari Civil-20 Vaksin Access and Global Health Working Groups dari People's Vaccine Alliance Asia. Kemudian yang paling ujung adalah Mr. Deepak Dungel dari AIDS Healthcare Foundation. Jadi di pertemuan ini Civil-20 menggelar beberapa diskusi dan paling tidak ada 2 diskusi yang kita angkat. Yang pertama soal akses pada vaksin, diagnostik dan terapeutik atau akses pada kesehatan dan kebutuhan terkait COVID-19. Kemudian yang kedua itu terkait dengan health financing atau kaitannya dengan Financial Intermediary Fund for Pandemic Prevention, Preparedness and Response. Di dalam pertemuan ini ada beberapa hal yang bisa kita rangkum ya, bahwa C20 menegaskan saat ini masih terjadi ketimpangan akses vaksin global yang sangat nyata, di mana dari 65% capaian vaksin global itu hanya 20% dari negara berkembang yang menerima dosis paling tidak di dosis pertama. Jadi kita menegaskan bahwa ketimpangan akses ini menjadi masalah yang sangat nyata bagi kita semua, dan G20 sebagai gabungan dari 20 negara besar di dunia itu harus bisa mengadres permasalahan ini, mengatasi permasalahan ini. Karena dari G20 sendiri sebagai pemimpin 20 negara dengan ekonomi terbesar, apa yang akan dikomitmenkan itu akan sangat berpengaruh dengan apa yang bisa diatasi. Dan kita menegaskan bahwa semua kebutuhan ya terkait dengan penanganan, pencegahan dan pengobatan COVID-19 serta seluruh kesehatan lainnya itu harus menjadi barang publik yang bebas dari kepentingan profit. Untuk itu penting ya bagi negara G20 ini untuk serius dalam menyediakan seluruh kebutuhan terkait pandemi COVID-19 dengan menempatkan prinsip bahwa keselamatan rakyat harus di atas kepentingan profit. Selama ini kita tahu bahwa semua kebutuhan COVID-19 itu dimonopoli oleh perusahaan farmasi melalui aturan kekayaan intelektual yang kemudian membuat negara-negara miskin dan berkembang ini tidak bisa memproduksi sendiri kebutuhan mereka atas pandemi COVID-19. Jadi ini adalah permasalahan yang sangat nyata, bahwa pasca dari kita sempat di C20 mendorong adanya mendorong ketika di konferensi tingkat menteri WTO ke-12 itu proposal TRIPS waiver. Tapi hasil dari proposal TRIPS waiver ini sendiri tidak berjalan sesuai apa yang diharapkan oleh kelompok masyarakat sipil. Artinya kita perlu mencari cara lain untuk meningkatkan akses, dan salah satunya itu adalah mendorong berbagai forum, dan salah satunya adalah G20. Dan terkait dengan pertemuan G20 dan inisiatif G20, kami sangat mengapresiasi ya bahwa pemerintah Indonesia ini membawa inisiatif bagi perluasan manufaktur pada kebutuhan COVID-19. Namun kami mengingatkan bahwa inisiatif ini sangatlah tidak mudah. Karena apa? Karena negara-negara G20 ini sendiri terdiri atas negara-negara yang juga menolak proposal TRIPS waiver. Jadi untuk itu kami mendorong agar G20 ini yang tegas, terutama mendesak negara-negara maju di G20 itu untuk berkomitmen ya atas nama kemanusiaan, atas nama solidaritas, sehingga berhenti mengutamakan kepentingan keuntungan atau kepentingan profit di dalam pandemi COVID-19. Jika pemerintah di G20 itu sendiri ingin memberikan perluasan manufaktur, maka hambatan-hambatan yang akan terjadi yang mungkin menjadi tantangan itu harus diatasi. Yang pertama terkait dengan kekayaan intelektual. Jadi pasca gagalnya perundingan TRIPS waiver, inisiatif mengatasi hambatan kekayaan intelektual harus bisa didorong melalui regulasi nasional sebetulnya. Termasuk di dalamnya adalah memaksimalkan fleksibilitas TRIPS ya, termasuk dengan mendorong adanya lisensi wajib serta mendorong transfer teknologi ya. Jadi negara-negara maju harus berkomitmen agar teknologi bisa ditransfer, dan juga melakukan kerjasama research dan hub di atas nama solidaritas. Jadi peningkatan manufaktur ini juga bisa didorong melalui kerjasama dan kolaborasi yang berkelanjutan di luar dari dominasi Big Pharma. Karena inilah kemudian yang harus kita dorong. Negara G20 juga kami harap tidak menggunakan gugatan-gugatan atas upaya-upaya produksi pada kebutuhan COVID-19. Karena kita tahu bahwa dampak dari aturan TRIPS itu adalah adanya semacam gugatan ya, yang mungkin akan dilaksanakan atau dilakukan oleh negara-negara maju ketika adanya negara-negara lain yang berupaya untuk memproduksi kebutuhan. Karena ini adalah pandemi, ini adalah suatu emergency, kami mendorong agar G20 tidak akan melakukan upaya-upaya terkait dengan hal tersebut. Kemudian terkait dengan bagaimana kemudian kerja-kerja korporasi di dalam di dalam penyediaan kebutuhan COVID, mungkin itu akan disampaikan oleh Lance Espacio dari People's Vaccine Alliance Asia. Lance, silakan.
Hello. Yes. Good morning, everyone. My name is Lance Espacio. I'm the People's Vaccine Alliance in Asia Regional Coordinator. We're a campaign coalition of civil society organizations campaigning worldwide for people's access to vaccines, tests, and treatments, especially related to the COVID-19 pandemic disease. I'll begin my intervention by recalling our experience here, no, in Indonesia last year during one of the major surges that ever hit our region broadly in Asia. We know July from last year, we've seen in international and regional media images of mass burial sites here in Indonesia, highlighting the immense toll on deaths here in this country. And we've seen also these images in countries like India who faced the same surges. Hospitals being overwhelmed, health workers being put at risk, and families really losing their loved ones, no, due to this disease. Parents lost, sisters, brothers, co-workers. In the Philippines, we could also say the same. I personally, for example, have lost co-workers to this disease. So we when we speak of this issue, we recall the loss of life, of even also of livelihoods, jobs lost due to various and many lockdowns, no, due to the pandemic. Thousands of people in Indonesia during this surge have also passed away. Worldwide, this trend is really a really heavy statistic. No? The official death toll worldwide stands at about 5.9 million people have died due to the pandemic. And this is widely seen as an underestimate because tests aren't available, especially in developing countries, no? And especially during surges where access to these life-saving tools aren't available. Based on our modeling within PVA, within the People's Vaccine Alliance, the estimate of the actual people that have died globally is about 19.6 million people, right? 3.3 times more than what is officially on the statistics available provided by government. And the death toll is heavier in our part of the world, in the developing countries. For every life lost in a rich country, that is equivalent to another 4 people who have died in the poorer nations. Now, 54% of all deaths by COVID-19 have been in low and lower middle income countries. That is to say, there is a more significant impact for us in low middle income countries than those who are in high income countries. And therefore, there is a need to look into how the global community can best address the deaths here in our part of the world. let me also share with you our view how we got to this situation, right? Well, why did we see in the past years really this immense loss of human life, this significant impact on the economies in the past 2 years? You know? We've seen in the past years that rather than solidarity among countries, it was nationalism and self-interest that triumphed. What we want to say here, that for example, with respect to the development of vaccines, it was in the approach to this was really to prioritize profits over people's lives. Even if, for example, the EU, the UK, and the US governments, these are public taxpayers' money, were invested in life-saving vaccines, then turned into private wealth. No? At the beginning of the pandemic, just to give you more specific data, governments plowed $100 billion really into private pharmaceutical companies to fast-track the development of manufacturing of COVID-19 vaccines and treatments. To give an example, Moderna has been one of the most successful companies at converting, this public fund into private wealth, and to really address profits. Having received, for example, the Moderna vaccine, $10 billion in government funding to, among others, boost manufacturing capacity, to run clinical trials, and even to deliver the vaccines. Moderna then sold the vaccines back to the governments, using the same fund that the government invested to turn a huge profit over the vaccines that they had produced, 66% net profit margin. Scientists estimate that Moderna's vaccine could be replicated in countries like Indonesia or those who have a manufacturing capacity for less than $3 a dose. Yet the price tag that Moderna sells this vaccine is at $21. Based on our estimates, in the gathering of data that we've done. Some countries that, like the UK even, are paying as much as $37 a dose. Colombia, even in Latin America, is reported to have been charged $30. Really, a really big profit margin, and using public taxpayers' money for this development. So we've seen really a priority of profits over people's lives. Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna, the most profitable vaccine companies together, make over $4 million per hour in pre-tax profit from the vaccines. So imbued or having a lot of public interest, it was converted and really to satisfy the greed of pharmaceutical companies. Therefore, we as PVA Asia call on the governments here meeting in Indonesia to, as they're conversing, talking about decentralizing global manufacturing, about all these things about financialization. These are things that affect our lives, real people's lives, marginalized communities. We cannot be excluded from these conversations. Furthermore, the mistake that has happened in the past cannot be repeated. We've seen in the global response, low and middle income countries being excluded, marginalized communities being excluded from these conversations, pharmaceutical interests being prioritized. We cannot make these same mistakes again, because we've seen the impact of this. We've seen, again, an immense loss of human life, grave impacts to our economies. We cannot rely, therefore, on a top-down, donor-driven approach where developing countries are put at the back of the queue. We cannot allow pharma greed to triumph over the common public good when these COVID-19 tools should be treated as public goods rather than private goods. We cannot allow profits to come before people's lives and allow governments here to deliberate without having a seat for us, civil society and communities, and to be part of the decisions that ultimately affect our lives. We strongly believe that with us, part of the governance, part of the prevention of the current pandemic and for future pandemics, if we're part of this conversation, then we will come up with broader solidarities across the world and a stronger and better response that would ultimately prevent people's deaths and also protect our livelihoods in view of future pandemics. So thank you.
Terima kasih Lance Espasio dari People's Vaccine Alliance Asia. Berikutnya kami ada Mr. Deepak Dungil from AIDS Healthcare Foundation. Please, Mr. Deepak.
Thank you, Arun. Greetings, everybody. I am Deepak Dungyal from AIDS Healthcare Foundation. Currently, I am based in Nepal. And thank you very much for your presence in this press conference. And I would like to begin with the fund, FIF, that is Financial Intermediary Fund, which is proposed by G20 nations, and its secretariat will be run by the World Bank. And since we already have similar financial intermediary fund, like that is the global fund, which has proven its performance in last more than 20 years, and it has saved millions of lives, and people are having access to now treatment for AIDS, HIV/AIDS, and the TB and malaria. And regardless of your ability to pay, global fund services can be accessed by poor countries, poor peoples, key populations who are most at risk. And this is the beautiful country. If we talk about inclusion, if we talk about good governance, if we talk about transparency, everything has been ensured by this mechanism. And yes, there might be some scope for improvement. We can talk about those things, but since we already have very proven program like financial intermediary fund, I mean the global fund, it is too late to talk about not having a financial intermediary fund, which is proposed by, let's say, the G20 nations. Since it is in a process to incept or establish its office and start to operate very soon, it is good to have additional fund, additional mechanism that aims to support emergency health, to deal and to mitigate the emergency health situations like COVID. And we haven't managed very well about this COVID. We already have monkeypox. And since we heard so many things from Agung and Lance about the TRIPS waiver. Yeah, we already successfully implemented TRIPS waiver in saving lives by producing ARV in different regional hubs. For example, India is producing, and that has made us very to access the ARVs, antiretroviral drugs, more accessible and in a very affordable price. Why can't we replicate that we have already proven in saving lives? In the same way, if the global fund has been proven in saving life, why can't we strengthen and scale up this? And in relation to this, it is always we require fund. It is good to have fund, additional fund, and we are thankful to G20 leaders for creating this mechanism. But we want and we demand for the guarantee of having representation of civil society, organizations, and communities who are suffering the most. Even the different difficult situation when state had difficulties to reach out the most population, there was only the civil societies and communities, they served themselves. Without funding also, they supported government to continue to ensure the access to services like the life-saving services, health, and all, etc. Therefore, it's time for Global Fund to have a 7th replenishment summit very soon. That is going to happen in New York from September 19 to 21. And it has aimed to achieve, it requires 18 billion fund to maintain its regular program as well as to continue with whatever they successfully did in mitigating COVID situation, targeting those who are at risk. And if we can't achieve this, maybe whatever we achieve by now can go into the vein, can go wrong, and we may miss to save the life. And in addition to this, maybe COVID. Since last 3 years, we heard about the proposal submitted by South Africa and the India to the WTO to ensure the TRIPS waiver. But nothing has been achieved, maybe because of bureaucratic processes, very spider web like very complexities. Why we need those kind of structures which are very complicated? In TRIPS waiver also, in the WTO, the requirement, if there is public health emergencies, TRIPS waiver can be made. We already passed almost 3 years, so many people we lost. Still we are talking about the process. It's inhuman. This cannot be accepted. And please make sure that you are pushing for the TRIPS waiver also for the vaccine production. And with this, I also refer to since the Global Fund also proved its role in COVID mitigation, let's allow or expand its role so that future epidemics can be managed also by Global Fund. For that, it needs money. Please place your commitment, place your amount from as a G20 nations, so that people around the world who need the services the most, they can live the life, and we can claim that yes, we are supporting and promoting human rights. Otherwise, it will remain only in our words and speech and good documents that might not have good value in saving lives in reality. And equity and funding is almost required. For example, we are very thankful to US government who pledged $6 billion. If remaining countries cannot contribute remaining 12 billion, maybe US government is compelled to support only 1/3 of the total fund raised. For example, if we are able to raise only 9 billion, then US government can only contribute 3 billion. Let's say 1/3. And the loss that we have can have negative impact in current program and future program also. And this is a very serious thing. So even the G20 nations who are already leading us, they are not only the G20 nations leader, they are also poor nations leader, other global south leader, and we request them to pledge your contribution, because some of the G20 nations didn't pledge also during 6th replenishment, and we humbly request all G20 leaders to contribute to the Global Fund during 7th replenishment. We already lost so many lives due to COVID, and we have already have this monkeypox at our doorstep. And even some rich countries have already access to monkeypox vaccines. But I believe many G20 nations didn't have monkeypox vaccine yet. So that even within the same G20 countries, there is global south and issue of global south and global north. If you really take care of your citizens, and if you would like to expand your citizen or your best wishes to all other poor countries, citizens who are living in the distress, please support them, save their lives. So they are also human beings. They also need, they also have a blessing from God if we believe in God. So that let's do not discriminate them. Let's offer our respect and support to them. And with this, at the end, what we see in the banner, I would like to reiterate again, nothing about us without us. Recover for people, and now profit on pandemics like COVID and monkeypox, and in vaccine inequality, and in profit on vaccine inequality. At the same time, we talked so many things about the people, those who already died due to COVID, and those who suffered the most, maybe, for example, the health workers, they didn't have access to vaccines. And let's make a situation that the world becomes a very lovable, livable place for our future generations. And with regard to this, who have the power, who have the technology, and that is led by the G20 nation. You have the power, you have the will, you can prove it, and we wish you all the best. And we are here to support you. That is why AIDS Healthcare Foundation also wanted to join C20 to support their mission to take this issue forward. Thank you very much.
Terima kasih Mr. Deepak. Jadi itu teman-teman terkait dengan apa yang jadi pembahasan di dalam pertemuan kita 2 hari ini, dan kita menekankan kepada pemerintah dan juga seluruh negara G20 di dalam pertemuan nanti di Bali 22 sampai 24 Agustus. Harapannya komitmen nyata dari negara G20 harus bisa terwujud. Komitmen nyata ini harus berupa keputusan yang konkret bahwa semua negara G20 mendukung pemerataan akses vaksin yang berkeadilan, kemudian mendukung sharing teknologi kepada seluruh negara-negara G20 yang memiliki kapasitas manufaktur yang tersedia untuk memproduksi vaksin diagnostik dan terapeutik. Dan juga kami menekankan bahwa tidak boleh lagi ada kepentingan keuntungan di dalam pandemi COVID-19. Kami juga menekankan bahwa semua negara-negara G20 harus bisa memaksimalkan TRIPS flexibilities yang mereka punya untuk memproduksi semua kebutuhan terkait COVID-19 dan seluruh kesehatan yang diperlukan. Serta kami mengingatkan di dalam Financial Intermediary Fund pentingnya transparansi dan akuntabilitas untuk dikedepankan, dan kami mendesak supaya VIV ini tidak menjadi ajang hutang baru bagi negara-negara miskin dan berkembang. Kami juga mendorong agar adanya representasi dari negara miskin dan berkembang di dalam governing bodies VIV yang equal dengan seluruh members lain, serta adanya civil society representative atau representasi kelompok masyarakat sipil di dalam governing bodies dari VIV ini. Karena di dalam persoalan terkait kesehatan, civil society telah membuktikan bahwa civil society banyak mendukung, banyak berkontribusi nyata, dan juga menjadi ajang bahwa kelompok masyarakat sipil bisa berkontribusi nyata terhadap kesehatan. Ini menjadi penting. Jadi dan kami juga menekankan bahwa di G20, di C20 kami menempatkan posisi people center approach atau mengedepankan manusia, kelompok rentan yang kemudian harus diangkat di dalam persoalan-persoalan kesehatan. Mungkin itu sesi press conference kita pada hari ini. Kami harap ini menjadi masukan yang nyata bagi pemerintah dan juga di dalam G20 itu sendiri, supaya G20 bisa menjadi wadah yang bermanfaat bagi kelompok masyarakat sipil untuk mengatasi pandemi dan juga seluruh permasalahan kesehatan yang sekarang jadi pertentangan bagi kita semua. Terima kasih Lance, terima kasih Deepak atas partisipasinya. Terima kasih kepada seluruh anggota Civil-20 yang sudah hadir dalam pertemuan dua hari terakhir. Semoga ini menjadi manfaat bagi kita semua. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.